it is absolutely critical that we recognize that we can't allow energy to be weaponized in the way that President Putin has tried to weaponize it. He can't control the sun and the wind, and he can't control these new technologies that are coming online. And if any lesson, I think, has been learned by Europe as a result of this disgraceful, horrendous, unprovoked, illegal war that is taking place, the lesson is that we have to move faster to de-weaponize energy anywhere in the world. It's not the first time it's been used as a weapon. 20 countries equal 80% of all emissions. 20 countries. And 65% of that global GDP effort is now committed to 1.5 degrees. So that means obviously 35% is not. And we have to figure out how we're going to bring those folks to the table, which is our principal action or activity that we're engaged in right now in diplomacy around the world. And it's complicated. So for the first time ever, the document embraced the need to transition from fossil fuel, the need to phase down fossil fuels as rapidly as possible. And even China, India, signed on saying that we should phase down. As you know, there was a fight in the last minutes about whether it was phase down or phase out. And it was settled on phase down, but you have to phase down in order to phase out. And if over the next 4 years that's the distance we travel, then that's the distance we travel. But if we do 30% reduction in methane globally in the course of the next year, that's the equivalent of every automobile in the world, every car in the world, every airplane in the world, every truck in the world, every ship in the world going to zero emissions by 2030. That's the equivalency. We are not moving fast enough. And for an issue that is existential, as leader after leader now appropriately calls it, we are not behaving in a way that reflects that existentiality. That's just a reality. I'm not here to say that to punish anybody, but you have to talk in terms of the science. The science is, after all, what is guiding us, not politics, not ideology. And let me remind you, please, politely, 1992 was our first COP when we got together and all signed an agreement. President George Herbert Walker Bush was there. And we all joined, Republican and Democrat alike, in a Senate delegation believing we were going to move forward. And we didn't. Coal use went up 9% in 2021. Emissions went up 6%, as did fossil fuel subsidies. $440 billion of fossil fuel subsidies. Explain that to me in context of status quo and unwillingness to move. You know the old saying, when you're digging a hole and you know you got to get out of it, the first thing you have to do is stop digging. To be having $2.5 trillion, we're struggling for money to effect this transition. But $2.5 trillion over the last 4 or 5 years has gone in to subsidizing the very problem that we have to cure. That's the definition of insanity. And what if we're wrong? What if we're wrong that the climate stuff isn't as bad as everybody says, but we still move fast? Well, we'll have cleaned up our cities, cleaner air, less cancer, less emphysema complications, heart disease complications, less money spent on children. We spend about $50 billion a year on it, being hospitalized because of environmentally induced asthma. We'll preserve the rainforests. We'll make the air breathable. We'll make water drinkable. We'll have cities where you can actually move around them more effectively. Just think, we'll have done all that, all for nothing. That's the downside of making the decision to do what we know we need to do. So, you know, there's a new future out, folks, and it's going to be defined by the new energy economy. And I'm telling you, the spoils are going to go to people who are there early and get in on those investments and make those things happen. And they're going to happen. The only issue I have, challenge I have in my confidence and optimism, is I am not yet convinced that we, all of us, are acting fast enough and doing what we need to avoid the worst consequences.